Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome into Trucker Talk Radio with John and Jon. I'm Justin. My cohort there, John's on the other side. Today is April 10th, 2025. We're about 5 days from tax day. I know no one's looking forward to that. If you're still waiting to pay, that means yo.
Get your extensions filed. Get your extensions filed. I know every year, so I'm getting my extension filed. I've already sent a notice to my accountant.
Yep.
File the extension. Now wait a second, because I didn't get to play my intro music. And people let me know if you like this kind of stuff. So before Justin, that was
it okay?
I think you should do the introduction more often because that was phenomenal. I mean, you put me to shame right there. But this is the intro. See what you think of this. Do you like this? Anyway, that was our intro music. That's what was suggested. I need to see about getting, some AC/DC or some kind of, cool hip hop or something. A good intro with our name in there.
Yeah, don't get any of this music from nowadays. Get the older stuff. Get the 70s or these music. This new music my kids listen to. I don't halfway understand any of it.
Yeah, I can't understand it either. I mean, I love like 90s rap and hip hop. I love, classic rock and but anyway, so what's going on today's master? You said tax. You started off on a probably a sour subject or a something that just brought everyone down. Our entire audience of
I'm sorry.
200 and I think we're at 295 people.
It will be
Everybody tuned out once they heard tax season. Hopefully we can get them back. But today is Masters, the start of the Masters.
Yep.
Spring is in the air. It's beautiful down here in Tampa. I'm sure it's beautiful there in Tennessee.
It is. It's nice today. 82 degrees.
Yeah, lovely here. It's and then watching the TV and seeing the Masters going on, seeing the course. It's
immaculate,
impeccable condition. And I forgot about Hurricane Helene that went through there last year.
Mm-hmm.
Just several months ago, went through there, tore up Augusta pretty good, did some damage to the course, and the course looks great. It sounds like the town is getting back to normal. And I guess the golf course has actually donated $5 million to their relief fund. So I forgot that area was impacted, but yeah, they're getting back to normal, and the course looks beautiful.
Yeah,
I think Justin Rose is in the lead right now.
Yeah, he's got a 2-shot lead. Looks like over Corey Connors and Scotty Scheffler. Looks like
Scotty, put some money on him. Him and Rory. I think either one of them. Those are my two picks this year.
And Bryson looks like pretty good. He's 2 under through 10, and then there's a couple mix. There's actually quite a few, under par. So that's surprising. But I've never been to Augusta. Actually, my brother's uncle is on the PGA Tour, and he's been a couple times. And
wow,
and there is nothing like it on TV. Look, the looks of it. I mean, I've been to golf courses all across the world and played and been very fortunate to do it, but nothing is as pretty. I mean, it's crazy the comparison to like that course to maybe your local course that you play on the weekends. I mean, it's not even around of how
there are some nice ones around Tampa, and then I go play with my brother sometimes in Naples. Now, are you a good golfer?
I used to be a single digit handicap, probably 15, but before my daughter was born.
Wow.
I played 4 or 5 times a week. I could play a round of golf in under 2 hours because I usually played by myself because everybody was
18,
working.
You can play 18 in under 2 hours?
I used to by myself. Yeah, I was.
Okay,
played with me because I always played like at lunchtime and right after lunch because I'd worked at 6 in the morning, get done at lunchtime. And I'd go play golf at least 4. I didn't play on the weekends much because it was too crowded and I didn't like sitting around. because I never could get. If I had four buddies with three other buddies, it was fun. But when it's just one or two, it gets slowed down, and I can so I would go and play during the week, and I could get it done quick. Only time I'd play on the weekends would be a scramble, a benefit or something, which I did that quite often. Yeah, I was playing. I never really broke mid 70s ever, but I was fairly consistent. My short game was probably the worst part. Uh, Putting was great. Actually, I could tee off really good, and my mid irons were good, but anything around the green, I was terrible at.
Well, I'm terrible altogether. I'm not good.
I know.
I shoot over 100. I don't understand how it's so difficult to hit a little ball into a hole. I've got no problem making contact. I can drive the hell out of a ball, but my short game is lousy. I've got no touch, and I've taken lessons, and it's done me no good. I have a wicked slice off the tee box where I'm essentially pointed almost at a 90-degree angle, and it just whips around and ends up right in the middle of the fairway. And then after that, I can't do anything with it. So, and then I often 3 or 4 putt in. So I'm no good. And and I realized, like, I watched my son. My son is 18. He's taking a semester off. He's going to FSU in the fall. He graduated high school early, so he's taking a semester off just to really have fun, work, and play golf. And I said, as long as you're working, I don't care what you do. Work and keep the house clean before you leave for FSU, and I don't care what you do. But he plays every day, and to watch him go from, I mean, he couldn't even hit the ball off the tee box to now. I mean, he's just, it shows that if you're consistent and you're dedicated, you can pretty much accomplish anything. And he is not athletic. He's not talented. He is just a hard worker, and he's very disciplined. And when he sets his mind to something, he's going to do it. And he's turned into a pretty good golfer. I mean, I would say he's a single handicap.
That's good. I read a stat years ago, and don't quote me on it now, but it is a very small percentage of golfers that are single handicap. I mean, it's a
Oh, yeah. I must have heard the same newscast, because they said the same thing. They were like, most golfers, most people who play golf are 15 to 18 handicap. So there are a few golfers that can go and shoot high 70s, low 80s. It's a very
and just like what you said about your son, you the more you play, the more shots you take, the more you just at the driving range, it makes a huge difference. It really does.
Yeah, I play. I mean, I was athletic in high school and in college, and I played rugby in college. But I mean, I'm definitely overweight, and I play pickleball just about every day. And because I play so much, I do pretty well. When I play in an advanced group, I don't move like most of the advanced group, but I can. It's a smaller court, so I can get around, and I can do pretty well. So it is. It's really about consistency and dedicating yourself to something, and that goes for business. It's the same way with business, right? So
Yep, it is. And you know, I used to know a professional golfer. His name was Bruce Liskey. He's from down in the Pensacola area, and then they lived in Texas. He married a friend of my aunt's, and he did very well. Did very well in the seniors tour. He never picked up a golf club during the week. He's the only golfer that I know that never practiced. He never practiced, and he won a few PGA
just
tournaments.
has a natural talent.
Natural. He'd play. He went fishing. He'd never pick up a club during the week. He picked up a fishing pole, and he'd always joke about it. And he was really good in the '80s. I think he was till the mid '90s. Then he went to the senior tour. But most of your pros, they take a couple thousand swings a day. And it's amazing to watch pros how they don't really ever miss hit the ball on the face of the club. Where me and you, our swing's never the same 2 swings in a row. It's off just a little bit, and that little bit of off, make it go left or right, or or
Yeah,
whatever.
they just showed Rory hitting out of the sandbox, and his club face is wide open, and somehow he like hits it on the inside of the club face, and it just goes exactly where it needs to go. Beautiful shot, puts some nice backspin on it, rolls above the pin, and then comes down. And I'm like, man, if I had my club face that wide open, it would go directly to the right. Directly to the right. I mean, if somebody was standing beside me, it'd probably hit him. I mean, I just
Don't get near me. Don't get.
don't get near me,
Well,
So
speaking of Rory, have you seen that they just concluded their first season the other day? Did you see the new golf league that him and
the
Tiger?
indoor golf,
Yeah,
I've watched it a couple times. It looks like a pretty cool concept. I mean, they're definitely appealing to a younger crowd, video game crazed
yeah,
crowd. It looks pretty cool. I like the idea that it's a team game. Pretty sweet. I guess the green changes shapes, right?
yeah.
Depending
It
on
moves.
what course they're playing.
Yeah, it moves up and down on like a pump system, hydraulic stuff. Yeah, it is cool. It's different. I know the video game stuff. I I actually got beat to the punch. I thought about putting a simulator like thing here in the town I lived in, and actually a guy's already beat me to it, and it stayed packed all the time because I'd love to have one to where you've got like 12 bays, and it's a whole area, and you can do other things besides golf. They've got them where you can do baseball in them and bowling. Have it'd be a great place for the youth to
It
go because
is great. I've thought about something like that down here, and definitely doing it with pickleball. But most people there's so many pickleball courts all around, and
right.
everybody's golfing outside, and you can play all year round down here, except for in the heat of summer, you want to play inside. June, July, August, and September are just miserable down here.
I bet.
That time of year it may work. Even still, people get outside early in the morning and go. I mean, my son, he'll go out and golf at 6:45, 7 a.m. when it's just barely getting light out.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Get out there right after the dew gets off the ground good.
Well, what's going on in the world of trucking? Because I know we do have some listeners on here that are like, they claim that we don't talk at all about trucking, which is not true.
No.
And like I've said before, we want to have a balanced show, not just trucking. There are so many just trucking podcasts out there that just tell you market conditions and things that aren't really appealing to the average listener. So we want to try and balance it with sports news
Give them a little bit of
um, and also a little bit of everything, and then trucking related news, and just be here for you to listen to, and then like we keep saying, have you on and tell us your thoughts on the world, your family, and whatever else you want to talk about. So what's
Well, one thing that popped up on my computer actually yesterday looks like on April 2nd, the U.S. Supreme Court had a 5-4 decision that opens the door for truckers to sue over mislabeled CBD products.
okay?
This looks like like I said, the ruling came in on the 2nd. Basically, it's a decision in Medical Marijuana Incorporated versus Horn. So basically, it looks like from what I read that Douglas Horn, he's a commercial truck driver, of course, was using a product called Dixie X, and it was marked as THC free by the Medical Marijuana Incorporated to alleviate chronic pain from a previous accident he had, which is not far fetched to believe or anything of that nature. Of course, you're sitting in that truck all day. You ain't got to have an injury. You're gonna get sore and hurt just from sitting all the time.
Of course, and trouble sleeping and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, he was taking it, was not supposed to be anything to affect his drug test, got hit for a random, took his random, and he failed it. He was actually, in my opinion, very smart. He used the SAP program, That's the substance abuse program. It's good for what it's for, but I don't think drivers are ever told the full truth and spectrum of the SAP program. It is for a second opportunity chance. Uh, but like me and you have talked before, off camera, this is the only industry that you can really be in that you truly don't get a second chance. You can be in the medical field or any other field. You can either tell them right before you take your drug test, hey, I'm on drugs. They'll put you in rehab right away. You don't lose your job. Or you can fail a drug test, go through, a 90-day program, substance abuse program, things of that nature, and then you can pretty much go back to the job you're doing. Now, there's a few jobs they might not allow you to do for some time, but for the most part, you're not really going to lose a lot of income after that 90 days. Well, in trucking, it's not like that.
Yeah.
I hear horror stories about this all the time. I have SAP guys that I speak with on a daily basis that there's no jobs for them. And they tell these guys, hey, just go do this SAP program. It's like $600-800. We can have you back and working in a couple weeks. And then they'll also tell them that that will finally come off the record. And none of that's true.
And it puts them, those SAP trucking companies are usually third and fourth tier, trucking companies. They're not your reliable larger carriers that are going to offer that kind of program. And, whether you're ever able to get on with those carriers, I mean, I see a lot of stuff changing on this side, and I think it's going to continue to change. Um, look, I get it. If you're using it while you're driving, um, you shouldn't be able, you need to be punished for it. You shouldn't be able to use it while you're driving. It's just like, you know, driving under the influence or anything else. I don't, I really have mixed feelings about this because there are times where guys have back pain
Hmm.
and CBD and THC has proven to alleviate a lot of that pain, and it's better than getting addicted on opioids. My dad would disagree with me. He's extremely conservative. He thinks marijuana is a gateway drug. I don't agree, but I think I've taken it. It's helped me sleep, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think the trucking industry needs to, just like a driver can go home, take time off, go to the bar, have some drinks, get rested up, relax, and then back on the road a couple days later, and there's no problem. I think I think having a gummy or a joint, whatever you want to, however you want to consume it, I think going home and taking a vacation, and if you sit on the couch and you take a gummy, and so you can get help sleeping or can alleviate your back pain. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, trucking is not easy, right? You're sitting in that chair all day long. You don't move around a ton.
No,
You're going back and forth between the tight cab, and you just don't get the movement that your body really needs, and you're stressed out, right? I mean, you're stressed out on the road. You're
yeah.
dealing with cars, dealing with traffic, dealing with
Well, you're
traffic
dealing
routes.
on at home too. You got family at home with you not
Yeah,
there. Always something going on there that's that you can't do anything about because you're not there. That stresses you out as well.
yeah. They need to change it, and it's gotta we gotta be fair here, and I think that I've seen where drivers that I've recruited. I had one guy, great guy, didn't even drink or do any kind of drugs, and he was home or staying. He was staying with his brother before he came on with us, and he had worked for me previously. But before he came back on with us, he was staying with his brother, and he had some back pain and took some oxycodone. and then he failed a drug test. And had he had a prescription for it, he would have been fine.
Right.
But he didn't have a prescription, so they wouldn't hire him, and he had to go in an SAP program. He could have probably sued, like the driver you're talking about, but he couldn't afford it,
Right.
and he couldn't afford to be off work.
Yep.
So he has to go through this SAP program. He has to spend, like you're saying, $500 or whatever it is, and then he has to go with a carrier who is a
Sap.
lower tier carrier, doesn't quite have the technology or the loads to
Yep.
help, you know, guarantee his success or contribute to his success. So it's a tough one.
It is. It's a tough uphill battle. And basically, in this ordeal here, they're saying that the government does not really regulate what's put on these labels very much, and that they're going to have to strengthen that up because of situations like this. And this driver was smart. Now, like, he probably had to be off work a year to make it that long, to probably get, maybe even longer, to get it up to the Supreme Court, which, he lucked out, he won, he got compensated and all that. But that is the biggest problem, as you said. You can't take off work for 6 months to a year to try to fight, because I've heard several stories kind of like this from guys, and they just jump right into the SAP because they think they can go back to work, and it's 2 years later and they still have not found a, not only to find a SAP friendly company, but there's rules and regulations that these bigger carriers put in. A lot of them will still work with the SAP guy, but the problem is it takes you, they'll want you to be, 2 or 3 years after you failed the drug test. Okay, well, it takes you 2 or 3 years to finally get a job, but they want you to have 2 years of experience in the last 3 years. And that's kind of like a loophole to say, hey, we're SAP friendly, but hey, you got to meet these regulations as well, because it costs them more money. I don't know exactly what the legalities of the insurance and things. And some carriers will only take so many of them a year because of that. And so hopefully this will be a way to start that movement of government getting in, regulating that more thoroughly, to know exactly what's in each thing that you're taking that's got CBD, so it doesn't keep, this continues to happen, because everybody makes mistakes. It is a little bit more dangerous if you make those kind of mistakes, because you are basically driving a driving bullet, per se. So you have to be very careful, because of that. And like you said, not doing it while you're driving. But my one thing that I will say about marijuana compared to like alcohol is not illegal.
Right.
It's it's in my opinion a lot more dangerous than any marijuana product. This is not really something funny, but I have joked about it. I'd much rather be in a car with somebody high than I would somebody drunk, because the one thing about marijuana stuff, it typically slows you down. It makes you, ponder and think, and you're a lot more skittish and, and thorough what you're doing. Drinking, you lose all ambitions. I mean, hell, you're 10 foot tall King Kong. You can do whatever when you're drinking. And, so if you're gonna do one, you ought to be able to do the other in some form or way of getting, of being illegal and not. I think one of the major reasons, I just think it's very hard to get it taxed. And I think that's one of the major issues, because even the states that's legal now, I mean, you can't even put the money in a bank because there's so many things. So, but I do see all that changing. It's, it's a slow process, but I think it'll probably be legal in most states probably the next 15 years, probably. But that came across, and I wanted to bring that up because it is something drivers need to be aware of what
No,
they.
it's important, and I think, I mean, in Florida we have the medical card here. I think that if a driver has a medical card and signs off, they're not going to use it. Even if you say they're not going to use it 8 hours before they drive or 8 hours after they drive, just in case, you put together some kind of rules and regulations there. If they have an approved medical card and they need it, they should be able to use it. I just, I don't, I don't think it's right. Some I know some people that have given up alcohol
Mhm.
and they've taken up, they're not drivers, but they've taken up CBD or
Yep.
THC and they
And
use it in lieu of alcohol and they feel better. They feel like their health is better, and you know, I can't argue that.
no, you look at the NFL now. The NFL, a lot of the guys use some type of CBD or marijuana or something for all their chronic pains. Because I mean, let's face it, that's why the average lifespan, or not the average lifespan, the average years of playing is only like 5 years, I think, is an average in NFL, and it's because their body can't handle it. And a lot of them do that for recovery and different things. So it's got good uses. It's somebody's got to just make it to where they can figure it all out to where it's on the same playing field as alcohol or I mean, you probably look at it, you bring in tobacco. I mean, probably tobacco probably kills us more, more than
More
you know,
so than, yep. I've had
right.
this argument with my dad a couple times, and he doesn't of course see it that way, but that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I do want to. We have some breaking news right now, and just prayers go out. There was a helicopter that crashed in the Hudson River
Oh wow.
in New York, all six on board. There was a pilot, two adults, and three children. I imagine it was um, probably one of those tour choppers that tore around the city, given that there were children on board. But apparently, it came down pretty hard into the Hudson River, and all on board unfortunately passed away. So it's
And
one off.
I mean, you saying that, it seems like they had another crash or something, what, about a month ago over there?
Yeah, they may have. Yeah, I mean, a chopper. I don't know how many chopper crashes there are in New York, but I know it's not. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a frequent thing, but I know it happens.
It's I can't remember. It's something. I have to try to go back and look up the article because I can't remember. It was some kind of crazy circumstance of what happened to the other one. But yeah, that's sad. On a little bit better note, my area is getting back to somewhat normality. Uh,
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
we were hurricanes really. I mean, the tornado really
Tornado.
bad. The kids back to school today,
Good.
so they had their first day back. Uh, like I said the other day on our show, we drove through and seen some of the damaged areas. It was bad, but the community has really stuck together. More than just our county's been here to help. Red Cross was here, FEMA's been here, Bid Chefs has been here. The youth has volunteered a lot since they were out of school, so that was good to see. I know there's a long way from getting back to any normal, but I did want to say that that people's done. Uh, One thing I told my daughter, you never know when it's going to be you. So anytime you can do anything to help, do it because it all gets paid in
100%.
the long run. But it was good to see the kids go back to school today. They've only got like 4 weeks left of school, so it was good to get them back in somewhat normal stuff because all of them's got somebody they know it's been affected. I think we end up having 5 or 6 deaths from it, which it could have been a lot worse if you seen the actual pictures. You would think it'd be 20 or 30 dead. So it's good to kind of get back to somewhat normalcy, but in that part of town, it'll be years before they do. But most things like everybody's got a place to stay for right now, and then hopefully everybody can come in and get their money situated so they can rebuild or rebuy and try to pick up the pieces and start again. And so it's just you just never know. What could happen. What if it's your time to be called home or what. So but
Yeah,
thank
it's scary, isn't it? I mean, things can just change. I mean, they can just change in an instant. It's you need to really. Um,
You need
hug your kids every night and value the life that you have. And, yeah, I've seen so many, especially here in Florida, just like I'm sure you've seen there in Tennessee. I mean, with tornadoes here in Florida, I mean, you see it, and you see the effects and people and our, I mean, I don't know, like the way that we're built and the way that things go, and as much information as we're fed on a daily basis, we forget, you forget about what happened, in North Carolina quickly. You're on to the next thing. You're always on to the next thing. And, and that's those people in North Carolina that were hit so hard last year. And they mentioned Augusta today. They still need our help. They need people to donate. They need people to help with rebuilding. I couldn't believe it in California. In California, speaking of those California fires, now those people out there are struggling to get permits to rebuild. They can't get past all the red tape in California. There's like two permits, literally just two permits that have been issued for those people to rebuild their homes in California. There's something like 250, 300 permits requested, and only two have been issued.
wow. That now that's sad. Which I understand, things have changed since the first time the house was built the first time. And out there, you need to be fireproof, you need to be earthquake proof as best as possible, which is no different than, building out on the coast in Florida. There's certain things you got to do because of, being so close to the water and being for a hurricane. But it shouldn't be that difficult to pull the couple permits you need to rebuild and move forward. It's just typical far left that they would make something, that important so difficult.
I mean, the left is getting crazy, man. I mean, I don't know how you vote for these people. I mean, they're they're just getting wacky. I
Mm.
don't I don't understand why they haven't learned from their mistakes and why they continue down the road with this rhetoric. And I mean, it's just absolutely nuts. And they can't defend themselves. All they can say is I hate Trump. I hate Trump. He's a racist. What has he done that's racist?
Yeah.
Quit attacking me. I mean, and they can't come up with anything. They just, they just go on and on about their hatred for everything, and they want their democracy back. Well, what do you mean by you want your democracy back? What's been taken away? Well, we want our Social Security back. Well, Social Security hasn't been taken away. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, maybe they'll take it away from that 1,000 people that are over 150.
And then look at what's happened. Everybody was freaked out over the tariffs, right? Everybody was freaked out. And Trump, being the negotiator that he is, he put the screws to China, which is where the screws belong,
Yep.
and then he gave everyone a 90-day freeze on tariffs. He wanted to let them know
What he can do.
that he knew this was going to go this way, and
Mm-hmm.
the markets rallied. And I think they're down a little bit today, but they're rallying. I think they're back up to 39, right? But
Wait.
everybody's freaking out. All the media is going nuts. And Trump says, I'm going to put the screws to China and I'm going to give some relief to, and he's got these countries, like 70 countries coming to the table. So now what
Mm-hmm.
does that do? That brings in more to our country. That's freer trade.
Yep.
If he would have sat back and done nothing,
It would never be better.
it
You're
would
right.
have never been better. It would have never gotten better, and it would have been the same old, same old.
Yeah, I heard him say yesterday, I believe it might have been the day before, that we were bringing in $2 billion a day because of the tariffs.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there. I mean, yeah, we might have to pay a little bit more out of our pockets for just a little bit, but you got to see the vision to make it work, and you got to, just in business in general, you got to make sacrifices to get to the next step, the next
Yeah.
plateau.
You got to spend money to make money, right? And so that's essentially what we're doing as taxpayers, and we're going to benefit because of it.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
have
you
to.
have to see that. When you have Japan, you have Taiwan, you have other countries. I mean, there's several of them wanting to come to the table and make deals. Those countries weren't coming to make deals with Biden or Obama. They weren't coming to make deals.
What no need?
There was no talk of it. Yet there was talk that what there was talk of was these Democratic leaders telling us 20 years ago that
Hmm.
we needed freer trade. We needed to be on an even playing field with trade. We need,
Yep.
these countries are charging us ridiculous amounts. We need to get this fixed. But it was all talk. So now they're mad that Trump is doing something about it.
Well, and two, one thing I don't understand, and I'll be honest, I've never fared well in the market, but there's nothing wrong with the market going down and going back up. That's how people make money. So if the market goes down a couple thousand points, that means everybody pretty much sold and made money. They sell it to go down, and then they buy it back. So it's not like that's the
Yeah,
end of
they
the world,
shorted the stock.
right? I mean,
Well, now what they're claiming, now the Democrats are claiming that Trump did this on purpose and he shorted the stock and then they bought, and he's claiming insider trading after the Democrats are claiming insider trading after the tariff
now,
pause.
now that right there is the funniest thing because they have proof, and there's people that's done this. They have done nothing but mirror what Pelosi used to trade, and
Yep.
it's made a living off of it, a small fortune. All they did was, and they actually have. I don't know what the website is. There's a website that will take you and show you what she's doing, and people just copy it because I mean they're all going to have insider trading. I mean they all kind of know what's going on in the world, and but yeah, then they're gonna call Trump out on something that their major leaders have been doing for years over there. It's like they can't get their foot out of their mouth. They just want to put it right back in all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know. Hey, I seen this too. It's on our website. Everybody, we got a website, truckertalkradio.com.
That's right.
I said teens increasingly viewing trucking as a promised career. So that is good for the industry, I would think. There's a
That's really
bunch
good.
of talk, because that's my big worry is what the next generation is going to be. I'm not the most impressed with the next generation in a lot of ways. They've done things and how they've been brought up, with things because we're fixing to lose all the old school truckers. They're all fixing to retire out,
And
and
especially the over the road guys. I mean, those we need more of those guys. We need, and I know it's difficult, and I know especially if you have a family, it's hard. But if you're young and you're single and you've got no responsibilities, you know, in terms of family responsibilities, go over the road, see the country, learn
yeah,
a little bit, learn what
they
it takes. Now is the time. If you're in your early 20s, go be a trucker. Go learn what it takes to buy your own truck. Go learn what it takes to run under your own authority. Take the next few years before you do want to settle down and position yourself, right? Position yourself to own a trucking company. Add more units, right?
yeah, live in that truck for a couple years. Don't have a rent payment. Just when you get out, go stay in a hotel for a day or two. That's a whole lot cheaper than a $1,500 $2,000 rent to pay
No,
somewhere.
no better opportunity than to see the
Yeah,
entire country.
there's a go take a couple. Go take you 34, reset it, and Flagstaff and rent a car and go up to the Grand Canyon for a few days. See that go out to
Take a
California.
load from Houston to Alaska.
Yeah.
I mean, in the summer, we're coming up on the summer months. You know, that two of the best runs I've received pictures from actually it was the same driver. She
Hmm.
just went all over the place, but she during the summer she would go from Houston to Alaska and she would go from like New Mexico to Newfoundland and
Oh,
she'd
wow.
take a boat over to Newfoundland. She'd do it in the summer months so you don't have to worry about the weather.
Yep.
And it was incredible. The pictures and the sights that she saw, and she had plenty of time to get there with the loads that she took. She was able to stop and really, see those areas of the country that not a lot of people get to see. I don't know that I'll ever see, Newfoundland in my lifetime, but pictures that I saw were incredible.
Right. Yeah. If I was a young coming out of high school wanting to get into trucking, I would. That's exactly what I'd do. I'd see the
Well, they
country.
lowered the age, didn't they?
I think so. Yeah. It doesn't help per se. Yeah, because you can, even at my daughter's high school, you can start taking your CDL while you're still a senior.
Okay.
You can actually take it and have your schooling done before you graduate if you're 18.
I thought you had to be. I thought they lowered it to 20.
Well, and it could be, but you can go ahead and take your CDL through, because what they do here in the state of Tennessee, all of it's done through. I call them co-op schools, but they call them. I don't even know what they call them. Something else. It's basically like Votech, and they've changed it to some techno. I think it's technological centers or something, and they have them sporadically throughout the counties. And there's several of them in the state. But yeah, you can actually go through a program through the high school, and
Okay, so you can drive a semi truck at 18 years of age intrastate, meaning in the state that you reside in. So if you live in Tennessee, you can drive within the state of Tennessee. You cannot cross state lines until you're 21 years old.
I don't know how many companies are hiring 18-year-olds. That would be the only thing that would worry me as an 18
Yeah,
year
I
old.
mean, an intrastate is hard because sometimes there's a need where, I mean, if freight is slow or if you've got an emergency and you need them to go, from like say Florida to Georgia or Tennessee to Kentucky,
Yeah,
um, that makes it difficult. But you you could do it potentially.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, when you hit 21, like you said,
Port cities would be the easier
yeah,
you know opportunities for 18-year-olds. I mean, they could run containers. Although I don't
or
think you have to have a if you have to be 21 to go in and out of the port.
maybe just the state of Texas. It's so large that you can't even make it. You can't even make I-10
Well,
in
you could
one day.
run in the oil fields. That's good money.
Yep.
The oil fields is great money. Hauling frac sand.
Hmm. And that should get better with Trump in office. That should really.
That's going to be the hot industry. I mean, I'm telling carriers that I do some consulting for to really tap into that market and get some master service agreements with those companies and really build your business in the oil fields because that's where the money is. That's where you can put 20 drivers on a 40 drivers on a project and they're running round the clock.
Yeah, most of them I know they'll put two drivers in. They'd run shifts, and the truck
Have
never
you
turns.
seen the show Landman with Billy
Well,
Bob Thornton?
that's that is the most truthful speaking show you'll probably ever watch.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, they don't play. Yeah, no, Billy Bob, his character, it's probably one of the best characters that I've seen on television in a long time. Just him alone's enough to enjoy the show because he don't
It's
he
yeah,
don't.
it's fantastic, and it's got what's her name from Varsity Blue. She does the whipped cream bikini,
Yep, yep,
and she is essentially the same character, just a mom.
yep. Just a mom. Exactly. There's not much at all.
But I mean, that is tells a true story about what it's like in the oil fields. It is It's nonstop. It's hardcore. Those
Dangerous.
guys that work on the rigs, they work around the clock. They essentially sleep there at the fields. Um, you know,
It's
it's
dangerous.
so dangerous.
A lot of other things that people don't talk about. Plus, they brought up the point, which I agree totally, is all the clean energy supposedly. It ain't clean. Like when he was talking about with the how much concrete and diesel was burnt to put in the wind tunnel thing, or
Oh
the
yeah, yeah. When he has the libtard lady come out, she's an attorney and she wants to say, she wants to basically cut off his funding, or
yeah, and he went out
she doesn't support the oil fields, and he's
and
basically
went.
Billy Bob lets her know how it is.
Yeah, and it's the truth. It's the truth on all that, and it's no different even for people that talk about vegan. There's more animals killed because of vegans than if you'd ate the animals. I mean, there's there's issues with everything you do. I mean, that's just the way it is in anything in life. Yeah, you might try to do something healthier or better for the environment, but there's
We lost. Did we lose Justin? You
yeah,
have a
for
call
some
coming?
yeah, I had a call come in, but it shouldn't have came in. Can you see me now?
My do not disturb has not been working lately. I don't know if it's a new update that I just got,
I
but
don't.
I've been struggling with my do not disturb.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have my new setup done maybe by next week. I just got to pick out an actual. I got a camera now on my computer, so now I just need an actual microphone. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna get one of them fancy ones that will hang down in front of me or to the side.
Well, I got a new comfy chair. I got a chair that I'm sitting in. I can sit back and relax
Yeah,
and be comfy. I'm trying to fix this backdrop to make it a little nicer, and then you're right. I'm going to do the same thing.
I'm gonna.
Have a microphone come over right in front of my face. I might even do the headphones. I might even do the headphones.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but I got to do something. I have to get off this phone because my phone rings constantly, so I always have interruptions. It don't matter if we did this show at midnight, my phone's gonna ring. There's no recruiting never stops in
Well, I'll
drug.
tell you one thing. This looking at myself I've never looked at myself this much in the camera, and I'm like, man, I got to lose some weight. This is
Me
ridiculous.
and you both, man. I try and try, and it is just hard.
Well, I love to eat. The problem is I've I really enjoy food now. I used to eat to live, right?
Right.
I ate to live. Now I live to eat.
Yep. Me and you both. I'm never full. That's my problem. I'm never
Yeah,
full.
and I never am either. I mean, just before we got on the show, I'm eating those peanut butter pretzel things with they got the peanut butter in the middle. You can get a big, huge jug at Sam's, and I just freaking one after the other,
That's my.
and it takes several of them to get me full, and I also love to snack. I love to snack.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always looking for something in the pantry. Also, I work from home, so
Yep.
it's easily accessible. I don't have to buy it. It's already here. If I had to buy it, I probably wouldn't eat it. Uh, so, but office space around here in Tampa has gotten so expensive. I'm just like, and I can do everything from the house. So until you move here to Tampa, or we grow the staff at Ready App and Trucker Talk Radio,
we,
I'm holding off on an office.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I might have to end up moving to Tampa. My sister lives down there now, so she loves it. She don't like I-4, but
Yeah, I fours like. Where's she live in Tampa?
she lives outside of Davenport towards Auburndale.
Okay. Yeah, I know Davenport. Yeah, yeah.
But she works in Orlando, so she's
That's your sister?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
She's quite a bit younger than me. She's about 11 years younger, but yeah, she works in Orlando, and she does not like the traffic.
Yeah. Yeah, driving from Davenport into Orlando, if she has to do that every day, that
And
is an awful stretch of highway to be commuting.
And she works in the medical field, so she does 12 hours or 24 hour, 24 hour shifts really, and a lot of times she has to be back in 12 hours. Well, it takes her over 2 hours to get home, and then an hour and a half to get back. It don't leave her much time. So hopefully they plan on moving. They went there because her husband has family actually in Tampa, but they're gonna, I think, finally decide to move a little bit closer to Orlando to where she works. He works from home, so it don't really affect him that much. But
Yeah.
she's not a fan of the traffic. I just laugh like, well, I don't know what you do.
Yeah, I know. I've got to go to Orlando this weekend. I've got a cheer competition. I'm involved in cheer now. So I'm a cheer dad. So I got my buddies I got a couple buddies that have been involved in cheer for a long time with their daughters. My daughters are just getting into it. We just got out of hockey.
Hmm.
So I got a sequence button up, maroon sequence button up shirt to match a buddy of mine. So we are going to be the ultimate cheer dads.
There you go. We need that on truckertalkradio.com. We
I
need to pick.
might wear that one day just to kind of, I'll go put on my button down and show them my cheer outfit. There's some dads that get pretty crazy.
Really?
Yeah. There was a dad wearing a tutu that said cheer dad. There's one dad that had a shirt that said, I thought you said beer competition and instead of cheer competition.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But they did, so we had a competition last week at the Yingling Center in Tampa
Mhm.
at USF. It's the USF's arena. It's
Okay.
called the Yingling Center, right? So when you go, you think I'm going to have some beers.
Exactly.
So it'll be all right. I can get through this. Be fine. Well, the taps
Wasn't working.
weren't working. Yep, they didn't turn them on.
Somebody lost money there then, because it would
They
have been
lost a lot of money. You know how many cheer dads were going there for
banking on.
one reason only, thinking that they were going to get some Yingling,
I guarantee.
and they didn't serve. And I guess apparently it just depends on the venue and the
Right.
people running it and the people running that competition, whether or not they want to open up the
Sell out.
beers and alcohol sales or not. Because for hockey, you can bet your butt that they're turning on those taps.
Speaking of USF, some friends of mine, actually from Kentucky, that we used to play softball against, their daughter has gotten very big into golf, and I think she's one of the better female golfers in Kentucky.
Oh
They went
well.
toured USF the other day, and I'd never seen pictures, and they'd posted a bunch of pictures on social media. That
Mm-hmm.
campus is beautiful. I mean,
It's,
it
yeah.
it was all immaculate, and they were impressed by how it looked and all that. So I know you had your kids that went there. It's very pretty campus.
Yeah, well, my oldest son is at UCF. My middle son will probably go there. He was at Miami of Ohio, and then he decided he didn't know what he wanted to do. So I'm like, I'm not spending 30 grand. It's a beautiful campus, but I'm not spending 30 grand for you to go and party. You want to do that, you can go to community college here in Tampa or go to USF. So. And then my youngest son, he just got into FSU, so he starts there in the fall. But yeah, you're right. USF, it's one of the larger campuses in the country.
Yeah. Now I knew that it was probably one of the largest.
Yeah, UCF and USF are two of the largest in the country.
Now you got to have somebody go to Gainesville at some point in the family. Do you see?
Yeah, I get, and it's actually a very good school. I said when I moved down here, I would never be a Gator fan, but we were rooting for our home state on Monday. Congrats to your Gators again.
Did you see where we got like 2 million, or I think it was $2 or $3 million raised now for the elective because of winning for NIL?
No, what's that?
Yeah, we had a couple boosters donate several $1 million into our NIL deal. just from winning the
Oh,
national.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So we can go spend more money.
Well, Kentucky has got unlimited NIL for their basketball team.
Oh,
So,
I bet. Don't doubt that
but
bit. I did see
who's your coach again for Florida?
Golden,
Who's your coach?
Todd Golden.
Golden, yeah. Is he clear of all his personal issues? He had some
Bars,
personal issues going on.
I can tell because I hadn't seen anything about it, and this would have been the time they'd have brought it all up to try to distract him.
I think that they dismissed it. I think that they found that whoever was making the accusation against her or against him, they decided to dismiss that.
Yeah, I think so. But I did see where Kentucky was in preseason top 10 for next
We
year.
are in preseason top 10 when we got probably the number 2 or 3 recruiting class coming in with including recruits that we're getting from the portal. So that portal is a game changer.
It
That
is.
portal is going to you can have a good team every year, and you can even go from an awful team to a championship team with access to that portal. It's a if you've got the resources and you've got a coach and you've got a big NIL budget,
Yep.
you can position yourselves to win a championship
Well, well,
each and every year.
well, just think about this because basketball is a different sport than the other big sports. These guys play together for years, and AAU ball and all that, and they play together and have stacked teams. Well, they all go to different schools, right? As a freshman because they want to make their mark. They want to get that NIL money. Well, what's stopping a couple of these kids, say their sophomore, junior year, they've all cashed in and made a couple $1 million on their NIL deal. If you have the right kind of coach that can talk to the young kids and get them to buy in, why couldn't you get 4 guys that play together in AAU ball all come together to your school, maybe even take a little less money, but still getting good money, and you can go from not having kind of like how even Calipari used to do it back in the day, and just bring in 3 or 4 freshmen that were 1 year wonders. You could easily do that in basketball because those kids have you know a core with each other because they played 4 or 5 years as teenagers together. You could easily bring a team of those guys back together, after they done made their mark and made a little money, and still get good enough money, especially at some of these schools that are unlimited budget. And you bring in 3 players that's played together that are all top 25 players, and then you throw in a couple of your players you already got. I mean, boom, it could be instant overnight. You can't really do that per se in football. I mean, a quarterback can make a huge difference, but there's so many other variables when you talk football and basketball. It's really just 5 people, and really it ain't even 5. Most times it's 2 or 3 that make the big difference. You have so many other just role players that they can just do their job. That's all they want out of them. So yeah, the NIL in basketball, in my opinion, is a huge game changer.
Yep. Yep. No, I agree, and it's going to be a game changer in football too. I mean, you're not so much for Kentucky, but
You
you know,
never, you never know. They might hit a lick and then just go for run. They might. I got to remember, even Alabama was Alabama. Alabama was terrible before Nick Saban got there. They were terrible. I mean, they were bad, and they're going to be right back bad. It looks like, even though they're still up there. I don't think the Alabama fans will ever get back to the Bear Bryant.
yeah, it's going to be not for a while anyway.
Uh,
Yeah, what they had with Nick Saban was special.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
well, we've about run out of time, and my wife just brought in
What you
some
got?
Cadbury eggs. I am nuts for. So we talked about like losing weight, right? I mean, I'll
Just
snack on those
eat
Cadbury eggs until they're.
that out of the water.
Yeah, I love Easter candy. I love the small Cadbury eggs with the chocolate and milk, but I also love the
Mm,
bigger ones
yeah,
with the frosting in there.
yeah. Now
Those are
Easter candy is probably the best season
It is.
holiday for candy
Yep.
because a lot of your Christmas stuff is it's okay, but it's like in Valentine's it's just chocolate. There ain't no other choice. It's just chocolate.
Yeah, and I think of like Christmas as like more baked goods, right? Like, I mean, my wife will have a bunch of parties, they'll do cookie exchanges and there's a lot of like cakes and stuff. At least around my house, there's a lot of like cakes and stuff and baked goods and you know.
Well, speaking of your wife, how did the golf cannon go?
Oh, golf can. Yeah, she does that for charity. So this group they raised $90,000 for Moffitt Cancer Center here in Tampa.
That's
Yep,
awesome.
and she raised almost $2,000 of that with her cannon. Yeah, no, it's a great cause that everybody loves doing it. Now she has to. We got to get an insurance policy for this thing because
I could see.
we're also handing out beers. We're handing out beers, which is fine,
Right,
but you get guys coming around and they're on the fifth hole or whatever, and so they're well in drinking,
right.
and
Yeah.
and then you hand them the gun. If you turn around, they're going to shoot before they're supposed. So she's like, do not shoot until they get off the green. The group in front of them, until they get off the green, do not shoot. Well, so she hands the gun. She's like, you can hold it. Do not shoot it.
Lord, yeah.
What is she turns around and he shoots it. He's like, there is no way this thing is going to go 300 yards and hit them. There's no way. And she's like, we've been doing it all morning. It will. And she turns around, he fires it, it hits their golf cart.
Oh,
And they're screaming. I mean, and if that hits somebody, I mean, who knows?
right.
So it's like, before your next outing, we're getting an insurance policy.
Probably be smart.
But it is a lot of fun. It's a great idea. Guys
It,
love shooting it. And there's golf outings around here in Tampa all the time.
yeah, you're in a good market for that. Probably the only place I'd say to have as much would probably be like in the Carolinas.
What I want to do is just take one of those things. You can change like the distance on that cannon based on the pressure that you put into that gun from the Nox air that we hook up to it. So what would be cool is to do some holes, like the whole hole. Go out on the course with nothing but the gun. I'm going to put the tank in the cart and then I'll fill it up based on where I think it needs to be and then shoot it. Cause you can like lightly fill it up and shoot it like 20 yards and, so you kind of have to judge. It'd be a little bit of a process, but I think it'd be fun.
Ain't no different than using the club. You got to figure out how far each
That's
club.
right. They have the big soccer ball golf around here. Have you seen that?
Yeah, the foot golf or whatever it's called.
Yeah, where they have the big holes
Yeah,
that
I
where a
would.
soccer ball can fit in there.
I wouldn't
You
mind.
done that?
I've not done that. I wouldn't mind. I would rather do that and try that than I would like disc golf. I don't know if I'd
Yeah.
enjoy it, but
Yeah, I can't throw a frisbee, so
either. But yeah, I wouldn't mind trying the foot golf. That seems fun.
yeah, it does. All right. Well, until next time.
Well, sounds good. Well, you enjoy your evening. Thanks everybody for tuning
Yep.
in.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Drive safe out there. If you're headed home, enjoy your family, and just make sure you come back out on Monday.
That's right.
Get started again. All right, everybody. Have a good week.